Moto Dojo.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Moto Dojo Show, a podcast focusing on motorcycle crashes and fatalities in Colorado, as well as some safety tips to help you stay alive. I'm your host, Instructor Cory, and I appreciate you being here. The goal on this show is to educate and inform so we can all become more aware of the risks associated with riding a motorcycle, learn how to manage those risks, and make smarter decisions so we can all make it home safe to our friends, families, and loved ones every time we ride. I'm sick of all the crashes. I'm sick of all the fatalities. I want to help you not die on a motorcycle. And if you want to help me, then like, subscribe, and share this everywhere so we can finally make a change together. Before we get into today's episode, we're going to cover the rules of the road. The rules of the road are simple. Number 1, choose safety over excitement. Number 2, always wear full gear. Number 3, it only takes one screw up to kill you, even if it's not your screw up. Number 4, never let your emotions take you for a ride. Number 5, don't ride beyond your limits. Number 6, ride sober. And number 7, always seek out more training and never be satisfied with your skills. If everyone is agreeable to those rules, then give me 2 thumbs up and let's begin. On today's episode, we have a special guest named Rebecca here with a question about motorcycles.
Hi, Cory. Thanks for having me on the show. Do you have any tips for beginner motorcycle riders in 2025?
Thanks for the question, Rebecca. Absolutely. Here's some essential tips for beginner motorcycle riders in 2025 and beyond. One of the very first things I always recommend to beginner riders is to start with a suitable motorcycle. You don't want to run out there and get something too big, too fast, too heavy right away. Instead, you want to choose a motorcycle that fits your size and skill level. A smaller, less powerful bike is often easier to handle for beginners. And I've ridden pretty much every bike there is to ride, and I love the smaller, less powerful models. They allow you to play around and practice all day long without having to worry about this big, heavy machine and all the weight falling over on you. Along with choosing the right bike, another tip for beginners is to wear proper gear, and full gear at that. Always make sure you wear a helmet, gloves, jackets, pants, and boots. You want to be fully covered from head to toe. I don't know how many times I see newer riders, they're wearing this really good quality helmet, maybe even a jacket and some gloves, but then they're just riding around in a pair of yoga pants or really thin jeans and a pair of skate shoes on their feet. Your lower half of your body is essentially unprotected. If you go down at speed, you're really going to be hurting on that lower half of your body. Maybe the top half of your body feels great and protected, minor injuries, while the lower half, you might be missing a leg, a foot, and things of that nature. So keep that in mind. Make sure you're fully covered from head to toe. You don't want to neglect any area of your body as far as gear and safety. This safety gear is crucial for protecting you in case of an accident. And it's not if, but when. All right, so we've got a good bike picked out. We've got full coverage with our safety gear. The next tip for all you beginners out there is to make sure and sign up for a safety course. You want to enroll in a motorcycle safety course to learn the basics and get hands-on experience under the guidance of professional instructors. It's not good enough that your friend Jeff has an R6 and he's willing to let you borrow it to teach you how to ride around the neighborhood for a while. In fact, this is a recipe that often ends up in disaster and having people crash and even get killed. Instead, you want to find a very good quality motorcycle training operation and make sure their instructors are top tier, and then look into that, maybe go sign up, take a class, and get that hands-on professional instruction and experience. That's really going to make all the difference in learning how to ride safely. And most of these training courses have bikes that they let you use when you show up. So even if you do drop it, you don't have to worry about damaging your own machine.
That makes sense. But what if you do have your own bike already?
Yeah, so if you already have your own bike, then the next tip I recommend is you start practicing in parking lots or quiet streets before venturing out onto any roads, especially any busy roads. So some tips are to find like a school parking lot after hours, maybe a church parking lot, as long as it's not a Sunday, and practice in those safe areas. Get as much time in the saddle as you can, practicing without any other vehicles or people around you. That'll really help you get some reps in and help you get your skills and fundamentals dialed in. Just remember that if you do have your own bike and it's a little bit on the powerful or heavy side, it's going to make that whole learning process a little bit more challenging than it normally would be if you're on a smaller bike. As far as practicing goes, some of the things that you really want to work on in the beginning are learning to use the clutch and the throttle as smoothly as possible. So, when you're thinking about using the clutch lever, just remember to ease out the clutch as smooth and slow as you can when you're getting started. This will really train your left hand to help you. And when it comes to your throttle, you want to make sure and roll on the throttle gently to avoid any sudden movements. Look up videos about whiskey throttling or look at some of my videos about it. I talk about the dangers of suddenly applying too much throttle and having the machine take off and take you for a ride. If you learn how to do everything kind of smoothly and in slow motion, especially to start out, that'll really set you up for success. You won't have any kind of surprises and unexpected things happening. You want to always be in control of the machine. You never want the machine to take control away from you. So, yeah, you're in a nice big open church parking lot. You're working on your balance and your control use. Another tip for beginners is to make sure and wear bright clothing and use your headlights, even during the day. I personally ride around with my high beam on during the day just to make sure I'm really bright and visible to everyone around. You can also work on your positioning. So, how you position yourself in traffic, how you position yourself in the lane so that you're easily seen by other drivers and motorists. I know nobody's really looking for you anyway, but in the chance they do turn their head or peek in their mirror, if you're in the right spots, they will have a chance to see you there. So, that's very important to keep you safe. Another great tip for beginners as far as those traffic situations go, and once you do start mixing in with other vehicles, is to maintain a safe following distance from other vehicles. So, this means giving yourself enough time and space to react to anything that's going on around you. So, if a car up ahead of you makes a sudden stop, or suddenly there's an obstacle or some debris in the road, you need to have time and space to not only see it, but identify it, comprehend what it is in your brain, and then you need even more time to actually make a decision, move your body, and react and take action and actually do something about it. So think about how much time that can take from when you first spot something to when you're able to finally respond. So the more time, the more space you have, the more options you have, the better. Especially when you're starting out, give yourself all day long to see things and make decisions. So those are some pretty good tips for riding in traffic and kind of slow speed roads and cities and environments like that. Eventually, if you start getting out into some twists and turns, you want to always make sure and look where you want to go. So a great way I like to teach this is point your nose where you want to go. I like to talk about Pinocchio and stuff like that. If you imagine you have a really long nose and you turn your head and you can kind of poke your nose wherever you're trying to take your motorcycle, that's a good way to start thinking about turning your head, pointing your nose. That'll help you get to that destination. You're kind of aiming your nose like it's an arrow and you're going to fire it at a target over there. And that's the destination you're trying to take your bike to. And once you reach that spot, now you're looking on to your next destination and so on and so on. Now, this is important just as a basic skill when you're starting to learn balance and to ride a motorcycle, but this is especially important when you start riding through turns. You need to always look through your turn your head, point your nose all the way towards the exit. And this will not only help you get to the exit of the turn, but it'll help you maintain balance and control and make you feel more confident knowing where you're going, being able to see your destination. And that's huge. A couple more tips I can think of off the top of my head for beginners is weather conditions. So you always want to avoid riding in any kind of bad inclement weather. Try to stick to nice sunshiny days as long as you can while you're getting started. Eventually, you will end up riding in the rain and the snow and ice and stuff like that. But you don't want to rush those things while you're still learning how to balance and traction and all these things. So the more traction you have, the more clear skies you have, the more sunshiny days you have. That's really going to help you progress and keep less variables and dangerous situations away from you to start. Because any of those rainy, snowy conditions is going to make the roads more slippery and reduce your visibility as well. So try to ride in perfect conditions whenever possible. If you are really itching to go practice and you look outside and it's pouring rain, then maybe just take the day off, wait till it clears up. And one more tip that I think gets missed or neglected a lot is regular maintenance. So you always want to keep your motorcycle in good condition by performing regular maintenance checks on your tires, things like your brakes, your lights, your fluids. You always want to be checking your bike over, do a full inspection. You can do this every time before you're about to go ride it. And once you learn how to do it and what you're looking for and the certain levels that your fluid should be at, you can kind of do this check in like 30 seconds, just a quick walk around the bike. Everything's good to go. You feel confident about the machine. Now you can get on it and go ride and practice. You don't want to just hop on all excited and go ripping down the road and then realize you have a mechanical issue or something like that after the fact. Motorcycles are dangerous enough even when the bike is working perfectly, so don't make it harder for yourself by challenging yourself with any mechanical issues going on. So those are definitely a couple tips that will help beginner riders out, especially in 2025. If you're thinking about learning or signing up for a class sometime soon, then pay attention to all these tips. They'll really help you progress and get started on the right track. And I also just wanted to say I appreciate everybody tuning in. We just started the new podcast in 2025. We're just getting going. So we really appreciate everybody's support so far. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Help spread the word and grow this thing. And remember, if you're sick of all these crashes and fatalities like I am, then like this episode and stay tuned for the next one. Thank you. And big thanks to our guest, Rebecca. Appreciate you. Thanks for being here.
On behalf of all us beginner motorcycle riders and everyone listening, thank you for all these great tips and advice, Cory. Thanks for having me on the Moto Dojo show. I know this podcast is really going to blow up in 2025, and I'm excited for you and all your listeners.
Moto Dojo